Better. Ooh, tell me where you guys are coming from. Oh, this is wobbly. Let me fix it. I should have been more prepared here. Tell me where you guys are watching from. Say hi in the chat if you're here. Exchange student 2, you are here. Welcome. Why does it feel like I'm so zoomed in? For some reason, the YouTube looks different than normal. Whatever. Let's see. I am going to get this pulled up here. I have my chat open so we can talk about all the things. Jason is here. Let's see. Elsie Aaron K. Cabby is here. Jennifer is here. Hi, Jennifer. Before I get going on questions, and of course, if you guys have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Tom, hello, Tom from Orlando. Okay, so the other day I posted my video of our dessert pork rind taste test, and oh, there's Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. I was just talking to Lindsay on Marco Polo like 2 seconds before I got on, so there she is. Let's see. Aurora is here from Canada. Sue, hi, Sue. And Rickwin is here. I missed Rick. Oh, there you are. Rickwin is here, hot and muggy, but you got rain, so that's good. Okay. Anyways, I posted my video about that dessert pork rind taste test. Those are phenomenal. I just ordered another big bunch of our favorite flavors, the churro and the apple cinnamon and the butterscotch. I skipped the birthday cake. That one wasn't our favorite. Anyways, so I posted that video. It went live just a few days ago, and I got some responses from Pork King Good, clarifying some things, some questions that people had. So I just wanted to read that just in case people didn't go back and see these comments. But there was a lot of people, including myself, who commented, like, why did they use sugar? Why didn't they just use stevia or allulose? It would be so easy to just use allulose, you know? That's us consumers looking from the outside in. And I got a comment from Working Good, and it says, hi there, my name is Rick. I'm the guy that helped develop these flavors. I wanted to share a little more technical answer so everyone has a bit more understanding of the process, because honestly, it can be a pain sometimes. Yes. Pork rinds are a meat product, and that falls under USDA inspection. You can identify USDA inspection products by looking for the USDA circle on the front of the package. Example, our plant is 1321. With that being said, USDA has their own rules and regulations when it comes to meat processing and manufacturing that are separate from the FDA. What that means is that when we submit our nutritional labels to the USDA for approval, they look at the ingredients and compare it to their list of approved ingredients and give thumbs up or thumbs down. If there is an ingredient that is not on their list of approved ingredients, they refer to the FDA's generally recognized as safe list. When it comes to monk fruit, allulose, and erythritol, none of them are approved for meat and poultry. Stevia in certain forms and processes is approved for beef jerky. Is it ideal? No, but this was the best solution for us at the end of the day. All the best, Rick. So anyways, it's so easy for us as consumers to, look at a company and be like, well, why didn't they do this or that? But there are so many things behind the scenes that we just don't see. And so that was really, really helpful to hear from him. And I am just so impressed that they were able to get that low of a carb count with the taste that they got. It is so good. So anyways, yeah, I agree. The FDA rules, I'm sure they have their own reasonings for things, but sometimes it doesn't seem to make sense. And it sure would be nice. I did wonder, like, why aren't there jerkies that have allulose and things like that? It's like you just never see them. I'd never thought that there was some kind of a rule that so legally they can't do it. So that's kind of crazy. And I wonder what it would take to get that changed. Because I could see like all kinds of meat products, like jerkies and things that have the sweetener in there, because all jerkies that are not keto, I mean, there's tons of sugar, brown sugar and soy sauce, and well, soy sauce isn't sugar, but lots of brown sugar and sugar is just a huge ingredient. So to be able to make a real keto beef jerky that has that sweet taste would be really nice. And it's just so weird because like there's all kinds of marinades and sauces and spices, spice blends that are meant for meat that have sugar in them, and that's fine. So it's so strange the rules that are all involved. It's like you can go to the store and get like a marinated pork loin that has tons of sugar in it, but you can't have a jerky with. Oh, I guess it doesn't. I guess it just has to have regular sugar, not. I don't know. I don't know. It's so weird. At least you can get like the barbecue sauces and things that don't actually have the meat in them with the allulose and the other things. Anyways, that was very interesting. I just wanted to make sure I shared that. Let's see. Who else is here? HPB from Arizona. Swana1, hello. Sharon, Carol. Carol says, I love your channel, but I'm actually on a weight gain plan as I want to be healthy as underweight is really bad. Yeah. Everyone has their own journey. And, you know, it's easy to look at someone else's journey and think, oh, you've got it so easy because you don't deal with the same problems that I deal with. But we all have our own struggles. It's like my husband, he's never been one that gains weight easily. And he has to work really hard to keep weight on. And it's a struggle. Like it seems like that, oh, I wish I had that problem, but it is a struggle. And the nice thing about keto and, you know, meat based and like this proper human diet, wherever that lands for you, it's appropriate. There's a form of it that's appropriate for everybody. Whether you're, you know, a kid just being weaned or you're, you know, retired and it's just appropriate for everybody. It's just um the idea that there's like a weight loss diet and a maternity diet and, you know, all these different kinds of diets. It's like, no, 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 let's just have a baseline and then tweak it depending on where we are in our own journey and like what specifically we need at a specific time. So if you're trying to lose weight, you might tweak it a certain way. If you're trying to gain weight, you might tweak it another way. But like the baseline is pretty similar. Like we all need fat, we all need protein, we all need animal foods, you know, all that stuff. Ooh, exchange student too. You said you picked red raspberries, smashed them, and put them into the creamy, and it was fantastic. I bet that was good. I bet that was amazing. Uh, hello, Ron from Oklahoma. Joanne from Arizona. Let's see who else. Oh, Karen is here from Vegas. Elizabeth, Peggy. Hi, Peggy. Okay. I got asked about the Victoria's Keto Kitchen flour last time on my live stream. My opinions have not changed. They if it works for you, great. I don't do a lot of nut flours. I tend to, if I have nuts, it's something that's already in um, a product that I'm wanting to consume. I don't add extra nuts on top of that. I just try to keep them to a minimum. And so I'm not interested in a flour that's going to be a staple in my kitchen that contains nut flour. And I still have not tried bamboo fiber flour. People keep talking about it, but I just haven't taken the time to order it or look at it yet. Lindsay says, I wonder if in the curing process, allulose and erythritol don't work as well for helping cure the meat. That's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility. So, like I said, there's probably some kind of a reason behind it. Whether it's a good reason or not, I have no clue, but it is annoying. It makes me want to like try to come up with some recipes for things like jerky made with allulose. Although maybe I'd poison myself and then I'd die because there is a good reason to not do it. I don't know. But you could make jerky without it. So it's not like you need to have the sugar in order to make it safe. I don't know. I do not know. Let's see. Toronto in the house. Sorry you came on strong there. No, that's totally fine. We're excited to have you. Crystal. So Sarah Joe, finally catching alive. Hope everyone is having a great weekend. Okay. What do you think about the recent reports about aspartame? I have not read the recent reports. I have seen, some people talking about aspartame. So I knew that it was kind of in the media right now, but I haven't actually gone and read whatever the recent report is. I have like it's similar with sucralose. I have gone back and forth on the issue. Back when I first went Atkins low carb, I did all of the sweeteners. I did the diet soda. I did anything and everything. I got liquid sucralose, and to put it in everything, and that was my sweetener of choice. I didn't really think anything of it at that point. I was going from a standard American diet with all kinds of processed foods to a low carb diet where the only thing I cared about was if it was low carb. So it was like all the processed food replaced with low carb processed food, basically. And then when I started getting more into nutrition and kind of going into the more like paleo world, like Weston A. Price, let's get back to natural, let's cut out all of these toxic things. I got rid of aspartame and eventually I got rid of sucralose as well. And then, of course, I have brought it back since then. But I cut out aspartame. I stopped drinking diet soda. And that was difficult. It was a difficult, adjustment, but I was able to do it. And then I remember I had some Crystal Light in my pantry and it had been in there for a long time. And I wanted something one day and I saw it and I was like, oh, I'll just drink some of that Crystal Light. And it was sweetened with aspartame. And I remember drinking it and getting so sick. At this point, that was so many years ago. I don't even remember like what it was, like if it was a digestive thing or if it gave me nasty headache or what it was. I just remember being like, I will never drink that again. And so since then, I really haven't. I've never gone back to aspartame, and it's so hard to sort through the talk about it because there's people that are, they say it causes cancer, and for all these reasons, they have all kinds of reasons that they say that it, does these horrible things. And then others that say it's no big deal and it's such a small amount, it's no big deal. And I really can't sort it out because of my experience with it that time. I'm not motivated to drink it because I have so many other things that I enjoy, other sweeteners that I really, really like. It's not like I'm missing anything. So I'm not super motivated. Maybe if I was super motivated, I would try to dive into the research and get it figured out for myself. But at this point, it just doesn't bother me either way. The sucralose, on the other hand, I kind of lumped the sucralose in with the aspartame when I cut things out because anything that was unnatural was bad. I've kind of gone back on that. And definitely listening to Chris Bear from Keto Chow. He does all this research and the amounts that you would have to consume in order to see these negative effects that have been shown in a few trials to like mice and stuff. It's like you'd have to drink like 500 keto chows in a day or something. Is ridiculous. It's I don't know if that was the right number, but it's just such a huge amount that I'm really not concerned. Like I have gotten away from the idea that I can ever perfect my diet or environment. Like we just live in a toxic soup and that stinks. Like literally, like I don't like that. I don't like that my neighbors use Roundup on all of their property and that my bees, are going over there and our bees are making a honey, like and that we have a creek that runs through our property. There's no doubt that the people upstream use all kinds of pesticides and stuff. And that, I hate that. I don't want that. But I can either choose to kind of accept it as the reality and figure out how to live within that reality, or I can be stressed and panicked and, you know, give up on life because we're never gonna overcome this problem. So all that being said, with the sucralose, I cannot sit here and say that consuming sucralose will not cause any negative effects to people. I just can't say that. But it's such a small concern, especially compared to all of the other stuff in the environment. And because of the benefits I receive from consuming the products, Keto Chow is the only product really that I consume that has sucralose. But the benefits that I receive from being able to consume that far outweigh the possible very minor negative effects that could be out there. So that's kind of where I land on it. But I have gone back and forth. And I definitely used to be in the camp of we need to get to perfection. And if we just cut out more and more and more and clean out our houses and our diets and make everything perfect, then everything, our health will be perfect. And I've had to give that up because it's never ending. You're always on the rat race of trying to find the next toxic thing that's going to kill you. And I found a whole lot more freedom just accepting that we live in a toxic world and we just have to figure out how to survive the best in it, not to cleanse it. All right. Let's see who else is here. Paula is here. Val is here. Thundering here in Wayne County, Ohio. We've got some pretty nice weather. Like we've been having in the 80s, like it's summer. All of a sudden it's summer. We went swimming at the river the other day. That will be coming in a vlog soon. It's been real nice. Not complaining at all. Val says she doesn't like the taste of aspartame anymore. I am the same way. It's just not enjoyable. It used to be that like I would get a Diet Coke every once in a while and I would enjoy it. But then once you kind of cut it out, you're like, oh, this doesn't even taste good. So it's another reason why I'm not really tempted by it at all. Like, don't need it. Especially when I can drink Element or other, delicious keto drinks. Like there are so many good options now. You don't need diet soda. Even Zevia. I enjoy Zevia and it's made with just stevia now. It used to have stevia and erythritol, but they've cut out the erythritol. So like that's a really great option. And if you're not used to it, same with the aspartame, drinking that, you might taste the aftertaste, but if you start consuming it regularly, you get used to it pretty quick. So it's not a big deal. And then also, like once you get off of the diet soda that's super, super sweet, things like club sodas, flavored club sodas and seltzer waters, they start tasting just as good as the sweetened stuff used to. Like, my favorite is the orange or the grape Waterloo. Like, I take a sip of one of those and I'm like, I'm drinking an orange soda or I'm drinking a grape soda and they're so good. And that has zero sweetener at all. It's amazing how much your tastes can change. Things that you like feel like you could never live without, it's like you actually can. And there are like neural pathways and different things internally that cause you to crave things, and you actually can break those patterns. Now things like coffee, it's like I've done it before, I've broken those patterns before, but I like those patterns, so I'm gonna keep that one. So you kind of have to choose like what's worth it to you or not. Let's see. Exchange student 2 says, my guilty pleasure right now are keto monk pack bars, caramel sea salt. That sounds good. They remind me of Nature Valley type bars that you used to have. Yeah. I have not tried monk pack. I don't know why. Like they sell them at the grocery store and I just never have tried them. I bet, well, I wonder if the kids would like them because they're like nutty granola bars from what I understand. They probably are good, but the kids, I don't know, might be something to try sometime. Okay, Kimberly asked, are there any carnivore keto glucose numbers when wearing a CGM. Glucose numbers. So, are you talking about standards? Like if you're keto or carnivore, are there different glucose amounts or that you should look for? Kind of like they talk about lab values are based on people who eat lots of carbs on the standard American diet. So trying to compare keto or carnivore lab values to that might not correlate exactly. Is that what you're talking about? Um, if it is, I think I don't think so. I don't as far as glucose, like how high you should. Well, I should say the higher level probably is the same. You wouldn't want to go above 140 after a meal. That's kind of the standard. And then as far as low glucose, like the last couple of days, I've had a few times where my glucose has dipped down into the red zone. I think it's under 70, no, maybe under 60. So it's been like in the 50s or the 60s, and my CGM app says that's bad. And so I get like lower scores of my glucose because my glucose is too low. I don't know when you're not eating carbs, I don't know that that's an issue unless you're having like those low glycemic symptoms, like if you're getting lightheaded or fainting or anything like that. That would be a concern. But if you have the low glucose without those symptoms, then I think it's generally accepted by the low carb doctors that that's not a problem. If your blood glucose gets to like a dangerously low place, you will feel it. So if you're like just going along as normal and you don't feel bad, I think that's the sign that is generally understood to be it's not an issue. And from what I understand of glucose, your body likes a homeostasis. And so if you have been having your glucose at a certain level, especially like a higher level, if you've been eating lots of carbs and your average glucose is very, very high, your body gets used to that. And then when it reduces for whatever reason, it can reduce by 20 points. The body will see that 20-point reduction in what was normal as like a problem. And so you might have those low blood sugar symptoms even when your blood sugar is still over 100. Like diabetics will deal with this where they do lower their blood sugar and they get these low blood sugar symptoms, but they're still in like diabetic range of blood sugar, and it's because your body's not necessarily responding to the number, it's responding to the change of what it perceived as normal. So sometimes when you first lower glucose through however you do it, through diet or supplements or whatever, your body can just see that change as a problem and like give you those symptoms. But as you get used to it and as that becomes your new normal for your body doesn't freak out as much in response. So that's where like the number, it's good to know the numbers, but there's also more to it than that, if that makes sense. And again, I am not a medical provider of any kind, and none of this is meant to be advice. It's just all the things that go on in my brain. Let's see, who else had a question here? Okay, yeah, Aaron Joe, Aaron Joe. I don't like aspartame, but I feel it is still better than refined sugar. Yeah, I can definitely respect that opinion. I'm at the place where I don't know. I don't know for sure, and like the amount of refined sugar. So I don't know. I don't know if I have an opinion on that. Personally, I'll just keep both of them out because I have so many other great options that I'm like, I don't need the refined sugar and I don't need the aspartame, which is great. I love that we live in a time where we have other options and don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I totally understand the feeling of it's still better for sure. Let's see. Beverly says, I went to the UCLA Medical Library and researched aspartame clinical trials. That is fascinating. That is something I have not done. There were major neuro side effects clear in the clinical trials. Um, because it was having major neural because I was having major neural problems, and my neurologist read the clinical trials and was surprised and upset about the findings. Be careful. Yeah, that is fascinating, and I think it's totally legitimate. And especially so, like for example, when the erythritol study came out and said it can cause heart problems, it's like for me, I don't think that that was there was enough evidence for me to be concerned about erythritol and heart problems. But if I already had heart disease and had some underlying issue where my heart was already compromised, I would probably go the extra mile and cut out the erythritol. And so for something like the aspartame, if you see like neurological issues in clinical trials and you already have neurological problems, like that makes total sense to go the extra mile and cut it out. So that's totally a legitimate route to go, and we all have to assess all of these toxic things in our environment and decide what we can live with and what we can mitigate through other choices, other lifestyle choices, and what we just need to cut out completely. And we all are different with all kinds of different underlying issues, and so our choices are going to be different, and that is totally fine. But the more that we have the information, I think the better. Like I am all for like putting the information out, positive and negative on all of these things, so that people can make their own informed choice. Like that's what I would like that more than I would like someone in a position of power just declaring this is good and this is bad. I would love for the information just to be there for anyone to read and to come to their own conclusions. Not that we don't listen to the advice of other people, because I'm not smart enough to be able to read all the studies and understand them. But at the end of the day, I'm not taking someone's advice because they told it to me. I'm taking it because I trust their medical knowledge, and it aligns with my values and stuff. Okay. Anyways, Cal says, love Keto Chow. Make it with butter and use it as coffee cream. Yes. I have gotten to where I pretty much just make it with butter. It's so good. It's so good. Except I just made for lunch a Keto Chow core with stevia. It was my last one. They're out of stock right now, so I don't know when I'll be able to get some more. But I made it with the Wagyu beef tallow, and that is fantastic. So good. I haven't tried the Wagyu with the other flavors, like a cake donut that's chocolate that's glazed. That's what it just does. I don't know. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense, but that's what it tastes like with Wagyu beef tallow. And that one has beef protein and then the Wagyu tallow, and it's dairy free, and then it's sweetened with stevia. So if you're concerned about the sucralose, there is the option of the stevia sweetened. But it was delicious. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how creamy it can be without any dairy whatsoever. So good. So that was my lunch. Let's see. HPB says, you are so right. We only have so much control over our environment. Yeah, and it can be so oppressive trying to control it. And so, like I said, I have found so much freedom mentally just from being able to say, we live in an imperfect world. We live in a toxic world, and you just accept that, and it's like kind of like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. It's like instead of like worrying about how to fix it, you can just worry about how to live the best you can. Like, I don't know. For me, I found that to be very freeing. Jackie is here. Back in the day, I loved Crystal Light, but found that I could drink one aspartame containing beverage with no issue, but more than that, and I would get a terrible headache. So I generally avoid it. Yeah. And when you have those tangible responses to things, it's so much easier to cut them out. That I think is one of the biggest benefits, or just a big benefit of doing any kind of an elimination diet, even to a carnivore diet, because you get personal experience with foods that you add back. And there is nothing like personal experience to motivate you to make change. Like, you can hear stuff from every expert, every loved one in your life about some negative thing that you do or consume, and it doesn't mean as much as when you really truly experience it for yourself. So that's why I love the approach of self experimentation, and seeing how your body responds to things, because in the end, I think, at least for me, that's going to be way more powerful, a more powerful motivation to change than any expert telling me what is the best for me. All right. Jackie says, still planning on trying Keto Chow out when I can carve out the money in the food budget. Yeah, it is something that you have to prioritize, as far as the food budget. And I totally understand that there are people who cannot afford it. I get comments about, all kinds of different things that I promote or I'm sponsored by, that a poor person couldn't have this. And like an insinuation that, that because not every single human being on the planet can afford something, therefore no one should have it, or you shouldn't promote it. And I don't really agree with that. I don't agree with that worldview. And I do try to keep everyone with all different, budgets in mind. So I try to offer more than just products that cost money. I try to offer, like, I did an electrolyte video, I don't know, a year and a half ago maybe now, where I did a homemade electrolyte mix, and I titled it, DIY electrolyte mix, and why I still buy the expensive ones. And I talked about my reasonings for it. But I do try to offer that. And even like Element has a recipe on their website for their electrolytes. Like, you can go in and make Keto Chow has a recipe to make Keto Chow of it. I don't know. I think it must be on their blog somewhere. It's somewhere public where you can go and you can order all the different ingredients for Keto Chow, and they give you the recipe. So I try to keep everyone in mind and offer something to everyone. I have worked really hard to keep all of my content free. There is so much pressure as a creator to monetize, to try to get money from viewers, whether it be ebooks or subscriptions or memberships, classes. And I don't think any of those things are bad. But for me and for the content that I put out, I try really hard to not do that. We did the Mighty Network for a little while. I made it really, really cheap, as cheap as I could, so that it would be more accessible. I still got a lot of hate for that, for the $5 a month Mighty Network group. We ended up merging with Amy's group. Amy's group has closed down since then, so that's all gone. But anyways, I try to keep all of my content as free as possible for the viewer. But what that means is, if I want to make money, which I can't justify the amount of time and energy I spend on YouTube without it bringing in something for the family, I have to go the route of having companies pay me. And there's different ways that YouTubers can do that, whether it be through just the ads that YouTube's YouTube puts up, and that's a great option. And I don't have control over those ads, so and I think it's pretty well understood that those ads are not coming directly from me. Like I'm not the one recommending whatever it is that they put as an ad on the video. But YouTube does pay a little bit. It doesn't turn out to be a lot. It is something, but it's not a lot. And beyond that, then I love that I get to choose. I have the option of choosing what companies I want to work with. And so things like Element, Perfect Keto, Keto Chow, Redmond, like all of these companies are ones that I have chosen to work with. And it's mutually beneficial, I think, for all of us because I both get to enjoy their products and I get to make some money and I get to share with you guys things that I'm legitimately using and enjoying. I do get lots of offers from, I mean, every single day. I get people wanting to sponsor videos or send me products to review or pay me to review products. And I turn down probably 99% of them. There's so many, and I don't say yes unless it's something I legitimately am interested in for myself, and I think it's something that you guys would be interested in seeing. Um, yeah. So, anyways, I kind of got on a tangent about that, but because I don't have channel memberships, I don't have, Mighty Network membership anymore. I don't sell classes and ebooks and courses and stuff like that. The way that I make money on YouTube is through sponsorships. And because of that, it means all of my content is available for free to everyone to consume. All you have to do is endure the commercials. And some people get real upset about that. But for those of you that do, stay tuned and you do listen, I do really, really appreciate that because I mean, without that, I couldn't do what I do. Like, I really couldn't. And with that, I am able to stay home with my kids full time and bring in legitimate, a legitimate second income to our family. My husband and I made the decision as before we started having kids that I was going to stay home with them. That was really, really important to us. And I know that that's not an option for everybody, and there's no judgment. Um, like I said, we live in an imperfect world, and time is finite, and it's not always possible. But we were committed to as much as we could to make it possible for me to stay home. Where like we will, eat rice and beans. That was before keto. We will eat rice and beans if we have to, or bologna, and it was just really important to us. And so, but then stumbling on this opportunity to actually make a second income for our family has been like just the biggest blessing. I never expected it. But I mean, it's kind of fallen into our laps, and it's just like, it's just a huge blessing. And so my desire is to keep it as free as possible for everyone. But in order to do that, there has to be some kind of someone else paying. If you're not paying, someone else is paying, or else I just can't do it. And so these companies like Element is one of the probably the biggest supporter of my channel, like financially, like the amount of money that I receive from them. And I can't rank the other ones. And especially because the other ones are affiliate, so I just make money based on sales, so it varies from month to month. But as far as like the amount of money I get from companies, Element is probably like on the top, and it's just it's amazing. Like it's such a great partnership, and it's a product I 100% love and use every single day, and like give to my family. And so anyways, I love that I can do that. I love that I can hand pick those companies, and I can benefit by making money. I can benefit by consuming their products, and then I feel like I'm giving you something of value because I'm sharing something that I value. So, anyways, it is tempting as a creator to take some of these deals where people are trying to pay you to promote their product, but like my heart hurts to think about having to promote something that I don't truly love and use and, genuinely want other people to use. But man, there's lots of money out there in the marketing world, and they will throw it at you to try to get you to say that you love their product. And it can be tempting, but at the same time, there's a big part of me where I'm like, I'm not tempted at all to do that because I would not be able to live with myself. All right, what else do we have in the chat here? Oh, Jason says you are an awesome part of the community. Thank you so much. Ooh, Crystal is getting ready to make pina colada ice cream. Okay, so how would you make it in a Cuisinart ice cream maker? So when I make ice cream, I always try to put in a little less water than you would for a shake, just because the flavor gets a little bit muted when you freeze it. I also add allulose when I make ice cream because the sweetness gets a little bit muted when you freeze it. And so I will add a couple tablespoons of allulose, and that gives it a really nice sweetness, and then put in like 10 to 12 ounces of water instead of like the 14, 16 ounces that you would do for a shake. So I would mix it all up. If you do butter, you're going to want to start with some warm water to melt the butter. And then, or if you just do cream, you don't have to start with warm water. And so mix it up like you would a shake with a little bit less water and sweetener if you want. And then, just pour it into your Cuisinart ice cream maker, and it would probably be delicious. Wendy and Harry, they just finished from Loving It on Keto. They just finished a 3-day Keto Chow fast. And so I've been watching their videos, and I actually am on day 3 of a Keto Chow fast right now. The videos will be coming out shortly. So I have been doing all the Keto Chow and all of the ice cream. And it's been so fun to watch Wendy and Harry's videos too, because I felt like I was doing it along with them. It was so fun. But they did a 3-minute Vitamix ice cream and it's very similar to the way I make my milkshakes, where you start with warm water and butter, put in the Keto Chow, and just a little bit of warm water, like 4 ounces, and then you add a bunch of ice on top of that, and then you can mix it into ice cream there. That is my favorite way to do it. Ooh, Ron says, I made low-carb cantaloupe ice cream today, and it was delicious. That does sound good. Now, I know some people they'll just take the fruit and that's all they put in. Is that what you did? Or did you add other, cream, like cream or milk or anything else? Because some people said that they did in the creamy watermelon, just frozen watermelon in the creamy, and then made a sorbet out of it. And then somebody else was saying the raspberry ice cream, just straight raspberries, and mixing that up. My kids would probably really enjoy that. So we're going to have to try that at some point. Okay, so Karen is asking, have you ever experimented much with the carnivore crisp chicken flour? It is not cheap. No, it is not cheap. I have experimented some. I did my carnivore breading and replaced the pork rinds with the meat flours. I tried the beef. I tried the Oregon blend flour and the chicken flour, and they both worked great. So that's a great way to use it. Adding in the egg white powder and the gelatin, I think makes the breading like 10 times better than just the flour itself. Personal opinion. But it worked great for that. I have done, I did the brownies with the beef flour, and those were good. And then I haven't done a lot more like baking. I really need to. If anybody has any ideas or things that they'd like to see, I would love to hear that. I want to do a like chicken fried steak with my carnivore breading. I thought that would be really good, and some kind of a gravy on that. Um, what else? I've had other ideas. I did try to do like a cornbread type thing with the chicken flour. It just it wasn't good enough to put on YouTube. We'll just say that. So I have done some experiments, and not all of them have turned out. But I think the breading is the best, my favorite way to use it. Kathy says, I don't blame other people if they can afford things I can't. Just means I eat more whole foods and I save money. Besides, it's a sin to covet. Yeah. So I totally agree. And it is okay. There was a time before I was really in the keto YouTube world where companies were sending me things to try. There was a time where I, was on the outside and I watched everybody else eat all of these more expensive treats and different things. And I couldn't afford, or I didn't, it's not that I couldn't afford it, it's that I couldn't justify it in my grocery budget. And so I didn't. And I remember like, really wishing for all of these things. And then companies start sending you stuff and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But then at the same time, I have so many keto treats in my house. Like I have chipmunk baking cookies, I have perfect keto bars and mallow munch and Nola bars. Like I have so many delicious things in my house. And so sometimes like there's a negative side to it where it's like there's just sometimes when you don't have the money for it, it takes away the temptation to eat it. And so that can be a benefit if you struggle with, having it in the house and having it call your name. Thankfully, I'm not at that place anymore. I still marvel at that because I definitely have been in different places in the past where it's like I just, felt like I needed to eat it if it was in the house. And I'm so thankful I'm not there anymore because being an influencer and having these things in my house, I wouldn't be able to do it. I would have to say no to the companies like, no, please don't send me anything. I can't handle it. So I totally understand that not everyone can afford everything, and that's just a reality of the world we live in, and I can't change it. I wish I could. But if you are in that place where you can't afford all these things, yes, it's a bummer. Like I'm not trying to, minimize that, but at the same time, like Kathy, count your blessings. It's another temptation you don't have to deal with. All right, Spirit Junkie says, thanks for sharing your business and info. I think it's helpful, just like about the pork rinds info. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad. I try to be an open book. I'm not trying to hide anything. Um, you know, if anyone has questions about it, feel free to ask. I do reserve the right to not answer things that I, don't want to answer. And interestingly, things like the YouTube AdSense, like the amount of money I make on YouTube, I have had to sign something that says I will not tell you how much exactly I make on YouTube. That is a rule for YouTubers, and a lot of YouTubers don't actually know that. But in the fine print, you are not allowed to share the exact amount of money that you get paid through AdSense. So, you know, if someone asks me that, I of course won't answer because I did sign and say I wouldn't do that. But I try to be an open book, and if something I do is sponsored, I try to make it extremely clear that I'm being paid to say this, and so it's not like I'm trying to fool anybody. Anyways. Barrett Pastor says, you work hard and provide a great service and you should get paid. Thank you. It takes dedication to show up consistently. Yeah, it does. And it is really, really interesting how there is a stigma about YouTubers or influencers getting paid, as if there's something immoral about about getting paid. And there's even somewhat of a stigma about stay-at-home moms getting paid for sharing what they do as a stay-at-home mom. Like, if like monetizing your family or monetizing your house, like that's just there's it's just wrong. I don't agree with that. But there is this very interesting stigma where there's so many other professions where it's fine to make money. It's glorified to make money. Like that's the whole point. But choosing this profession, somehow all of a sudden receiving money is immoral or automatically means that you're corrupted or you're doing things for the wrong reasons. It's like, well, my husband's off building a house right now, and we could say to him, you're getting paid for that? Well, you don't really love building houses then. You don't really love, providing a quality product. All you care about is getting paid. Like, well, that doesn't make sense. So why do we apply that to a YouTuber or to a stay-at-home mom who happens to also be an influencer? We can all have the wrong heart behind what we do, no matter what it is we do. Um, and YouTube is no different. So sure, there's lots of examples of people who just are trying to make money and are trying to get people to buy stuff, and that's all they care about, and they don't really care about quality and giving quality or good information to people. Sure, but that kind of a person is in every aspect of the working world. And you can't judge a person because they make money on YouTube solely on the fact that they make money on YouTube. There has to be other things involved. Although it is amazing how the comments will come, and just the fact that you have a sponsored video or that are an affiliate with a company and you share about their products, like people just think that's evil and wrong and no one should do it and it's terrible. Okay. Yeah. You don't have to watch my videos, I guess. Let's see. Oh, Ron says low carb cantaloupe ice cream, no ice cream ingredients, 450 grams of cantaloupe, 180 grams of sugar-free condensed milk. Ooh, that sounds really good. Really good. Teresa said, made Keto Chow waffles this morning and just had Keto Chow ice cream for dinner. Delicious. I have not made Keto Chow waffles. So, okay, I have only started using Keto Chow consistently in the past maybe 6 months or so. Sounds right. And so there are a lot of like base recipes that have been around forever that I just have not tried. It's kind of like how I had never tried the fathead dough for so long. It's just like I saw the recipes, but it just wasn't something that I did. So I need to try like the waffles and like some puddings. I know Two Crazy Ketos have like egg pudding with Keto Chow that sounds really good. Like there's just so many that I need to do. So feel free to send along any that you that are your favorites that I would maybe like. Saw that there is a way to make your own chicken flour. Yes. So things like carnivore crisps and the chicken flour, you can totally make them yourself if you have a dehydrator. Like it is not a difficult thing to do. It'll work a lot better if you have some kind of a meat slicer so you can slice things really, really thin. But it's totally doable. And a lot of these, keto products, you can make them yourself. Like there are options. Like I said, the Element has a recipe and Keto Chow has their recipe, but not everyone has the time, and some people have the money that it makes it worth it to pay someone else to do it, basically. So it's kind of like saying, well, I can clean my house. Why would I pay someone to clean my house? That makes sense depending on a certain lifestyle, and it doesn't make sense depending on a different lifestyle. If, you work 90 hours a week and you have lots of money and you don't have any time to clean your house, then it makes sense to pay someone else to do it. So same with all these products. with the chicken flour, you can totally make it yourself. Two Crazy Ketos have a recipe for meat chips. Actually, there's a lot of keto YouTubers that have recipes for like the meat chip type thing. And all you got to do is make those, get them as crispy as possible, and then grind it up. In one of my videos before the chicken flour came out, I took the chicken breast carnivore crisps and the brisket ones, and I ground them up and made, sort of a flour out of them. And so you can either do that with carnivore crisps, or you can just dehydrate your own and then grind it up, and you can totally do it. There's some videos. I forget who actually did the chicken breast flour. Was it Cooking with Mel? I know she does a mix with chicken breast flour, but I think she might have also been the one that actually made it herself as well. So there are always options, and that's what I love about YouTube, is that everyone's sharing all of these options, and there's often a cheaper workaround. If you have more time than money, go for the do it yourself option. I love that. Um Spirit Junkie says, your experiments have shown me that we are all variables. Let's see, we are all variables: food variables, metabolic variables, medical and medicine variables. Totally agree, 100%. We just got to figure out our variables. That's the trick, is to try to figure out yours. And oftentimes we get ideas from watching other people, but it can be really easy to think that all of their variables are the same as my variables, and then try to apply everything that they do to us, and it doesn't work. And so figuring out our own variables is an important exercise. Linda says, I'm doing better since I gave up keto treats because I love sweets. Totally respect the dedication that it takes to do that. And I have done it before. I feel like with keto sweets and things like that, and even coffee, that it is good to take breaks sometimes. Just because, like I said, when you do that elimination diet, you really get personalized experience with how things affect you. And you don't get that unless you cut it out for a little bit of time. So, like, I always said that my pregnancies were when I detoxed from coffee, because I couldn't drink coffee for like the first trimester at least. And that was like, I was like, I can live without coffee. I do it every pregnancy. And I did do it once since my last pregnancy as well. I went off it for 6 months, which was a lot. I went back to it when we moved because that was a really intense, stressful time, and I needed it. And I haven't gone off of it since. But I think it is good. Kind of like with alcohol, if you are someone who drinks, I think it's a wise choice to just make sure that you're not dependent on it. You can do that with sweeteners. You could do that with dairy. I did that as well, because that's another one where I feel like my body craves and responds to dairy in a very similar way that it does to sugar and carbs. And I'm not saying that it's bad and that I have to cut it out forever, but just being aware of that, I think, is important. And then going through times where you cut it out and kind of prove to yourself that you're not a slave to it. And, just kind of cut it out, and then maybe try to add it back and experience what happens in your body, and then, make your decisions from there. But taking those times where you cut back on certain things, I think, is a good exercise. And it does get kind of, there's different voices, and some people, and it's always based on what has worked for them in their journey. And so I totally respect that. But there are a lot of voices who say these extreme challenges, that's not how you eat every day, so you shouldn't do it. Let's just try to find a way to live and just live that way every day. And if that works, then I would say go for it. Absolutely. But I do think that there are some unique benefits to doing these certain challenges. And like we talked about before, your heart can be wrong. Your heart can be messed up in doing them, and so there are right ways and wrong ways to do them, or right attitudes to have and wrong attitudes to have when you do them. If you're going on some kind of restrictive challenge because you hate your body and you need to be thin, then obviously that's, hopefully there's some healing that can happen there. But I think there are ways to do these challenges with a good mindset, and there are some benefits that you can get through doing them. And one of the biggest ones is the elimination diet aspect, where you just learn about yourself, you learn about how things affect you, you learn how you feel not consuming certain things, and then you learn how you feel when you add them back. And that, I think that's all super valuable information. So I think probably the ultimate goal is to get to the point where you know all of your variables, and then you just live your life with all of that knowledge. But until you get to that like perfection state, um, doing these experiments and trying to figure it out and seeing how you feel, I think is a really legitimate and good way to go, and a good exercise to do. Keto Simple is here. Dustin, jumping in super late. Yes, we've been waiting for you for over an hour now. Let's see. Oh, Levi in your Keto Chow mystery box was hilarious. Oh my gosh, that boy. That boy, the things that come out of his mouth, like it just takes me by surprise. He's so funny. He's like, smells like a bath bomb. I was like, yeah, I could see that. I mean, like the powdery smell. I don't know. He's so funny. Yeah, he was mimicking me for sure. He was totally making fun of me, trying to say everything I said, but quietly. Such a turkey. I don't know where he gets it from. Must be from his father. Tom Rocks Keto says, today I finished up day 2 on my egg fast, made the 2 Crazy Ketos egg loaf, and it's amazing. I have never made an egg loaf. That's another recipe that's like super popular out there that I have just never made. I mean, obviously I've made egg white bread, so we could call those egg loaves, but there's an actual egg loaf that's kind of like French toast, I think, if I am remembering that correctly. I will have to try that though. 2 Crazy Ketos have a lot of great recipes, and I really need to go and do more of them. We made their Keto Chow brownies. That was one of the first Keto Chow recipes that we did maybe a year ago. It was really good. It was so good. Oh, carnivore crisp. Wait, is that CC? Is that carnivore crisp cookies out of the oven? That sounds delicious. I made cloud bread. Shelly says, I made cloud bread, did not like that moist texture. So I put it in the air fryer to get them crispy. Ooh, that's a good idea. Cloud bread is another one. I've never made the original cloud bread recipe. Never, never, ever. Even though I was on Atkins back in the early 2000s, I still have never made that recipe. Ooh. Linda says, dip chicken or whatever meat into the Keto Chow chicken soup mix, and it's so good. I bet that would be a good addition to the my carnivore breading, like with the gelatin and the egg white powder. That'd be interesting to try. Sounds really good. Let's see. Susan says, from the electrolyte video that you did, Element, I don't care for stevia. It has an aftertaste. The others are too spendy, so I make my own from the recipe you gave, and it works just fine. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, stevia is one of those things you have to get used to oftentimes, and there are better stevias than others. I find that stevia sweetened like citrus and fruity things, I don't notice as much of an aftertaste. A stevia sweetened chocolate, I will notice more of an aftertaste, although the stevia core Keto Chow, not really. It tastes different than the sucralose, but it doesn't have the same like weird stevia aftertaste that other things have. But just in recipes, when I'm trying to make something, if I just add stevia to chocolate, it doesn't usually turn out well. But stevia with anything fruity or citrusy seems to work out really well for me. And with the Element, I have never noticed a stevia aftertaste with Element. Even the chocolate ones, I mean, I've only ever had the chocolate ones in tea. I haven't really noticed a terrible aftertaste on that one either. But there's different kinds of stevia, and I think Element uses whatever the good one is because it tastes delicious. Ooh, Monkey says a Burr coffee grinder can be really good at making fine powders out of things. Yeah, they're cheap. You don't have to have a Vitamix. The coffee grinders are a great option for like making the meat flours or different things like that. That's a great tip. Oh, keeps jumping. Dustin says, I'm proving I have a real struggle without coffee. Yeah. I haven't proven that yet, at least not recently, but I don't need to. I'm good. I have noticed that I've been drinking less coffee recently, though, which is really interesting. I'm not sure what all is going into that, but sometimes, like today, I had my 1 cup of coffee this morning, and I probably won't have another one, which is very strange. I think it probably has to do with getting my nutrients balanced and topped off. That has been a really big key in me not having cravings and not feeling like I have to eat all of the sweets in the house and like all of those positive things that I've had with my appetite. I directly relate them to figuring out my nutrient stores and getting them in line. So if you do have intense cravings for things and you feel like you can't stop with the sweets and things like that, it's something to look into to make sure that you're not deficient in anything because your body will just keep like it needs something, and how else does it know to, or how else can it tell you what it needs besides like stimulating your appetite and telling you to eat more. Like, we need something, keep going. So, that has been a huge game changer for me. Thank you, Spirit Junkie, for the super chat. Says, thanks for your thoughtful and informative content. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you appreciate it. Let's see. Kathy C., have you made Maria Emmerich's hard boiled egg chocolate pudding? I have not. I have not. I don't think. I did a egg pudding. It was actually a pie filling that Lindsay had done at the holidays a year or so ago, and she did scrambled eggs. Instead of boiling the eggs and peeling them and putting them in the blender, she just scrambled the eggs in her pan real fast and put them in the blender, which I think is brilliant. And that was really good. I recommend that. It was like French silk pie or chocolate cream pie or something like that. Teresa says the better stevia is delicious. I may have had that one years ago, but I don't know if I've had it recently. Okay. Chicken Parmesan chaffle. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Let's see. Oh, it's a Keto Twins recipe. Okay. So many good recipes out there. I mentioned this a while back, but I saw just Jason Keto, who he is still here. Looks like he's still here. He did a buffalo blue cheese chaffle that looks really good. I still have not made it, but I want to. It looks really delicious. I love blue cheese and I love buffalo sauce. So, how could it be bad? We are going to hop off here pretty soon. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. We've already been on for an hour and 10 minutes. Crystal says good night. Good night, Crystal. Let's see. Ooh, Justin says, I think when they are super hard boiled, there is yolk grit. Yeah, let's not do that. Yolk grit sounds terrible. Blue cheese is the best. Why? Why is that so good? I love blue cheese. HPB is saying, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jackie did BBBE as a fast for Lent. Did not enjoy butter only coffee. Yeah, I don't enjoy butter only coffee as well. So I ended up just quitting caffeine. Now just occasionally opt in for a caffeine boost on crazy busy days. Yeah, that's I love it when it happens naturally like that. So when I went off of coffee, it was about 3 years ago, I think. I had the worst issues. And looking back, it probably was related to my iron deficiency and all kinds of other things. Like the caffeine was really propping me up when I was scraping the bottom of the barrel with my iron deficiency. But I got insomnia. Like they say, when you cut out caffeine, your sleep gets better. I had insomnia for months. It was horrible. It was so bad. And like I I would not be able to sleep at night at all, but I would be able to take like 4 hour naps in the afternoon, and like 10 a.m. I'm like, I have to take a nap. I'm dying. And then like even if I pushed through that and like forced myself not to sleep, I would not still not be able to sleep at night. It was horrific. Um, yeah. I had to like do all kinds of Googling trying to figure out like what is wrong with me, because everyone's like, you feel so much better when you just have to get through the 2 weeks and you'll feel it was months of torture. And I decided my life is better with caffeine. I sleep so well. Like that's the thing. I sleep so well. I don't know. I can't explain it. All right. Thank you so much for hanging out today. I hope you guys are well and have a good holiday weekend. Yeah, I with these Sunday chats, I try to do them whenever I can, but family time always takes priority. So if there's something that's planned, then I don't get on. Like last week, I didn't get on, but I think I will be able to be pretty consistent with the Sundays over the next month or so. So you can look forward to next. Did I say Monday? I don't know what I said. Next Sunday, you can look forward to me probably doing another chat. And then Tuesday, we will be on Lindsay's channel for Tuesday coffee chat. So if you enjoy these lives, definitely go subscribe to Lindsay and see us there on Tuesday morning. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.